Hello, sister. Welcome back. This is Intimacy After Infidelity, and I am Christina Joy. I help women just like you shed their shame, rebuild intimacy with themselves and God, and step into the abundant life they were created for. Now, if you listened to last week's episode, Grieving the People Who Didn't Show Up, then you know that we talked about these horizontal relationships, the relationships between people. And Jesus stepped in there, even though humans may have been absent in your story. Jesus stepped in, even when others didn't. Now, today we're going to go vertical, our vertical relationship with a deeply intimate truth that God sees you. So if you have ever felt invisible, discarded, or like no one actually understands what you've been through, today's conversation will remind you of a God who sees and hears and responds to you personally, even in your wilderness season. Hey mama, welcome to Intimacy After Infidelity. Do you find yourself Googling, can a marriage survive infidelity? Or what's the first step to divorce? Do you wake up full of hope, only to end the day with more shame when there's another stupid argument again? Hey, I'm Christina Joy, forgiven daughter of Jesus. I too felt the shame of infidelity and wished someone had a roadmap for how to get out of the mess so I could experience freedom. I kept telling myself I just needed to try harder to end the affair and fix my marriage, until I found I needed Jesus to heal some deep wounds in my heart. Through prayer, lots of research, and developing new healthy habits, I was able to find healing to shed my shame once and for all. Now I'm excited to share everything I've learned with you. So find your safe space and pop in that earbud. Let's rebuild your life and marriage better than it's ever been. Hey, before we begin, I want you to know something. This healing journey is not something that you have to do alone. When you've been through the emotional and spiritual fallout of an affair, there are wounds only God can heal. But walking it out is so much easier in a safe space where someone really sees you. And sister, that's exactly what we do in my one-to-one coaching calls. You get personalized guidance, compassion, accountability, and a safe place to unpack what is going on in your heart so that you can start living in freedom instead of fear and shame. And right now, I am offering a special one-on-one session rate. If you are curious whether it's right for you, would you reach out to me with the word call on Instagram or send me an email, and I will know that we need to get connected around that. So I'll have all the links in the show notes, and let's hop into today. We are going to talk about the story of Hagar in Genesis 16. Feel free to grab a Bible if you have one nearby. But the story of Hagar, she was a servant in the household of a couple, Abraham and Sarah. And I used to always think she was like the side character. You know, Abraham was the great father of many nations. And so Hagar is just kind of this side story. But actually, when I sat down and really looked at 2 chapters where she shows up, she's actually a woman with a really complicated story and with real wounds and messy emotions. She suddenly became more human to me. Now, the story actually starts with Sarah, who's unable to have children, and she gives Hagar to Abraham to bear a child on her behalf. Super crazy things they did back in the ancient times. Now, it's messy from the start. So when Hagar does conceive a son, she starts to despise her mistress, Sarah. And Sarah begins to mistreat Hagar so badly that Hagar ends up running away into the wilderness. Wow, can you imagine if that kind of story was playing out today? That there's abuse and despising happening right from the start, so much that she runs away. And here's where it gets interesting. God finds Hagar in the wilderness, not back in Sarah and Abraham's home, and not while Hagar is in a place of safety or respectability, God goes and finds her in the desert when she's fleeing and she's hurting and she's alone. And God called her by name, and he acknowledged her situation. And then God gives her a promise. And then Hagar responds to this promise by giving God a name, El Roi, the God who sees me. She says, I have now seen the one who sees me. Now, when I first read this, I was stunned by two things. Number one, that God saw Hagar even though she wasn't in a good place. She was hurting, bitter, running, talk about survival mode. And then I was also stunned that God sent her back. We'll talk about that in a second. So that was Genesis 16. Now the story doesn't end there. In Genesis 21, a couple chapters later, Sarah's resentment flares up again. So like I said, God told Hagar to go back home. Sarah gets resentful again. And then Abraham sends Hagar and her son away for good. This time there is no going back. They wander in the wilderness until their water runs out. And Hagar actually leaves her son under a bush because it says she can't bear to watch him die. And then again, God shows up. He hears the boy crying, and he calls to Hagar from heaven. He opens her eyes to see a well of water that's there. God provides for them in the wilderness, and he promises to make Ishmael, her son, even to make him into a great nation. And I remember putting this whole story together and thinking, God, is this me? Am I entering the wilderness season? You know, the first time, maybe after my affair, and, you know, the healing journey, maybe there's another time, another life challenge where God seems to be leading me into the wilderness season. But God reminded me that even in the wilderness, he sees me. And then here's what hit me. God sees my whole story, the parts that others don't know, the things that happened behind closed doors, the wounds I've carried silently. And if God could meet Hagar twice in the desert, he's going to meet me in my story too. So if you've ever been in an affair or a struggling marriage, you probably know this feeling. The affair partner leaves. The spouse gets distant. Friends or people at church don't know the whole truth. You realize that you feel abandoned, invisible, unwanted. And it's tempting to think, but if I mattered, wouldn't they show up for me? And I wonder if that's how Hagar felt. She was sent away and rejected and left to fend for herself. But here's the thing. God didn't meet Hagar while she was still in Abraham's tent. He met her in the wilderness. And for me, God did not meet me in the middle of my pretending. God met me when I was finally ready to be totally honest. Not with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but when I was ready to step out of the toxic place completely. That's when God met me. Friend, I'm not going to lie. The wilderness is not comfortable. It's not easy. It's not fun. But it's where you can hear from God most clearly. So in the last episode, I shared about Jesus as the Good Samaritan, rescuing me when I was too hurt to even move, and when people walked by and didn't help. That was rescue from human absence. But here in Hagar's story, this is different. This is God seeing me and speaking to me and making promises over my life. It's not just rescue, but it's relationship and intimacy. Knowing God this deeply changes how I live. Knowing that God sees me makes all the difference. I don't need to chase attention from a man. I'm not shaken if other people overlook me. I can be open to receiving love, but I'm no longer desperate for it from another human. Being seen by God gives me grounding and worth and dignity. It's a comfort that covers me even when situations are really hard. And I want that for you too. So, friend, if you feel invisible to God right now, maybe because of your affair, maybe because of the aftermath, then borrow my belief here. God is not hiding from you. God is not disgusted by you. He's not just waiting to punish you. Oh, sister, he loves you, and he sees you, and he hears you. And God will meet you when you're ready to let yourself be fully seen. Stop hiding. Let him see you, and that's when he can meet you with tenderness and compassion and provision. The wilderness is often where you hear God most clearly. And I want you to remember that being seen by God is the deepest security you can have. There is no human validation required here. Letting yourself be seen by him is the beginning of your provision and your blessing. Friend, if you are tired of feeling invisible and you want to experience what it's like to be truly seen, not only by God, but also in a safe human relationship, let's talk. Would you send me the word call on Instagram or to my email, and I will know that you are interested in getting connected for this level of healing. Let me pray with you. Jesus, thank you for being the God who sees us. Thank you for knowing every detail of our stories, even the parts that we wish we could hide. Jesus, would you meet my friend where she's at today? Help her to feel seen and heard and loved in a way that changes everything. Thank you for loving us. Amen.